with that investigation into the death of an inmate at a New York prison. The state attorney general's office releasing body camera footage today showing the beating that is being blamed for his death.
Fox 8's Morgan McKay has been reviewing the incident. She joins us live from the newsroom. Morgan, more than a dozen correction officers were involved in this.
Bianca, Natasha, it's a tough video to watch. Robert Brooks died shortly after this alleged assault. His family has seen the videos, but due to the graphic nature of the body camera footage, Fox 5 has decided to only show images of part of this alleged beating.
These videos are shocking and disturbing, and I advise all to take appropriate care before choosing to watch them.
The state attorney general's office released this footage recorded on body cameras worn by 4 correctional officers at the Marcy Correctional Facility in central New York. These videos, which have no audio, show Robert Brooks being carried into the infirmary by correctional officers. Brooks's hands are handcuffed behind his back when officers start punching him. They then hoist him up by his neck very forcefully, and one officer starts to smack Brooks with a shoe. One officer then used his booted foot to kick and pin down Brooks. Another officer punched Brooks in his upper body, and one of the officers again punched Brooks while handcuffed. At one point, Brooks was sat up with his face bloodied, and an officer punched him again. Brooks was then pulled up by his collar and forced to the wall. The next part of the video, which we're not showing due to its graphic nature, shows Brooks being carried back to the table seemingly unconscious. Brooks died the following morning at a Utica hospital. No charges have been filed yet, but the incident is being investigated by several agencies. In court filings this week, state police investigators said that preliminary findings from the medical examiner's office showed asphyxia as a possible cause of death. Governor Kathy Hochul said she was outraged and horrified after seeing the video and ordered the Department of Corrections to fire the 14 employees who allegedly participated. A spokesperson for the department said that 13 of those involved have been suspended without pay and 1 resigned. Brooks was serving a 12-year sentence after being convicted of first-degree assault for stabbing a former girlfriend. Reverend Al Sharpton commended Hochul's swift action, but the incident sparked outrage among many elected officials and criminal justice advocates.
It's shocking, it shouldn't be, but it's just the manner, the way in which they did not care. They did exactly what they wanted to without a care in the world.
Now, the New York State Correctional Officers and Police Benevolent Association, the union which represents most of those allegedly in the video, says they do not condone the actions taken in the footage, but will be upholding its obligation to represent its members. Natasha and Bianca.
All right, Morgan.
And Vugu Nayosi, Black Revolutionary Now. Yes, another case of a black man being beaten to death by these criminals, these thugs with badges. Yes, these correctional officers in New York. And once again, a black man named Robert Brooks, who was in a correctional facility, transferred into a hospital and was beaten to death by 13 correctional officers and a nurse who was complicit. And I'm just going to read you a short little CNN article of what is actually happening and going on. CNN, body camera footage documenting the fatal beating of Robert Brooks at the hands of New York State correctional officers has triggered an outpouring of rage and condemnation and analysis from experts who said this video show misuse of force by officers. Really? Brooks, a man incarcerated at Marcy Correctional Facility in central New York, was pronounced dead in the early hours of December 10th, 2024 at a Utica hospital. Early in the day, he had been transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility to Marcy and beaten by correctional officers in the medical examination room while handcuffed with his hands behind his back, and also they failed to mention his feet was also chained up as well. Let me go on. Body cam footage shows officers repeatedly punching and kicking Mr. Brooks in the face, chest, and groin until he stopped moving. The New York Attorney General Office of Special Investigation has opened an investigation into Brooks' death. Attorney General Letitia James pledged Friday to use every possible tool available to us to investigate the death thoroughly and swiftly, and described the footage of the beating as shocking and disturbing. Check this out, fam. Check this out, fam. Letitia James came out and said her office is not prosecuting the 13 officers and the nurse who was complicit in the murder, lynching, I should say, of Robert Brooks. This is a black woman. Yes, these are people who work with the system of white supremacy and uphold the injustice system against black people. These officers, right? And I think about 3 or 4 of them have ongoing abuse cases pending, and these officers was still allowed to work as a correctional officer. Yes. So all these people who talk about, yeah, they screen certain people for jobs and we know who is who, whatever, for some reason, when the skin color is white, it just seems like a lot of them folks just happen to not be investigating their own people on their criminal activities. Wow. I'll post a video in the description to show you exactly what they did to Robert Brooks. And these officers haven't been charged as yet. Wow. Yes, this is a system of white supremacy we're living in. Even with body cam footage showing 13 criminals beaten Robert Brooks, handcuffed. They still need to have an investigation. They still need to know what is going on. When coming to black people, once they have video on any black person doing anything, their language is completely different. We know that. We know how this white supremacy system works. So let us see how this play out. Let us see how this play out. Yes, and I know some people are going to say, oh yeah, well, you know what, he was a prisoner, blah, blah, blah. And he was doing prison time for like assault, whatever. And that's a whole different conversation. If someone did a crime, they deserve to go to prison or to serve their time. That's a whole different thing. That don't mean they need to be unalive. It's crazy. It's crazy how this system like to change the narrative and go on something that have nothing to do with what is going on right now. So I'm going to keep an eye on this story and we're going to see how this play out. But we got to be on these people behind and raise our voices and speak up as loud as we can. We can't let these white supremacists get away with unaliving our people like that for the whole world to see. It's a disrespect. It's an utter disrespect to our people. Plain and simple. Peace and black power. Black revolutionary now.